Number 10. Scarlet Witch. We know that Wanda in essence broke the universe when she erased all mutants from it, or at least almost all mutants, I think like 99% of them, by saying no more mutants. But did you know that this actually broke the multiverse? At least that is what was implied in X-Men Endangered Species. In this series, Beast is on a journey to try and basically fix what Scarlet Witch did, finding a way to reverse her magics or perhaps find a scientific cure in order to bring back the mutant population to what it once was. During his adventure, he mates with Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange shows Hank the repercussions of Wanda speaking the words, "no more mutants," and how it didn't just affect the main continuity of Earth 616, but also affected the entire multiverse as well. Doctor Strange shows Hank the effects of Wanda's curse on mutant kind to help explain why he basically cannot use his power to help Beast in his quest, as the complexity and reach of magic is basically too great for him, even for the Sorcerer Supreme. Whoa.
Number 9. Invincible. There's gotta be some solace in knowing you are the best of all the other alternate versions of yourself. After a character who can travel the multiverse and is dedicated to ending Mark, Angstrom Levy, assembles 16 evil versions of Mark Grayson, he unleashes them on the Earth. They are all a guy who is named Invincible, so you can imagine the amount of damage they can do. They crush through everything. Every major city, Paris, Moscow, London, New York, is under attack and destroyed. All the heroes of the world are called in to face these guys. Just one version of Mark was able to take out the whole of the Guardians of the Globe, only being stopped by Rexplode, who literally destroys himself to take one out. By day 3, 8 of these Marks are still alive and have the world in ruins. It was all because Angstrom promised them larger multiversal empires that they could conquer, and that's what they plan to do.
And friends, before we move on to the next spot, if you are loving this list and you want to show us some love on another platform, head on over to Facebook, hit that like, hit that follow, do all the Facebook stuff, you know what to do. Number 8. Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan could be seen as someone who fixed the multiverse, or as someone who broke it, depending on your opinion. Well, yes, Flash started off Flashpoint and seemingly fixed everything, but then also it kind of resulted seemingly in the creation of the New 52. Dr. Manhattan was also involved in the New 52's creation, using his mega reality warping powers to do so. And we're actually led to believe in Doomsday Clock that Dr. Manhattan, not Flash, was actually the mastermind behind it all, with the death of Green Lantern Alan Scott. I would say that both Dr. Manhattan and Flash together are really responsible for the creation of the New 52 continuity. Like, I think it's fair for us to just like let them share that, which for better or worse, or maybe a bit of both, changed a lot of things. Dr. Manhattan actually made this attempt to fix the multiverse in order to prevent a superhuman World War III, which he believed would result in the destruction of all reality. In a way, New 52 was once again a sort of like break it to fix it thing. For DC, it was their way of cleaning up the continuity, but in doing so it also led to a lot of confusion, as now you are completely changing the narrative, so people who were following prior to that and had things changed on them are just going to be pretty confused. I know, I get confused all the time, and literally it's my job to know this stuff. So thanks, but also maybe no thanks, Dr. Manhattan?
Number 7. The One Below All. The One Below All is a relatively recent addition to the comics, but the idea of the entity isn't, as we have known about the One Above All for a while, and his mere existence begs the question of who inhabits the opposite side of the spectrum. Thanks to the Immortal Hulk, we now know, and it is utterly terrifying. He resides in the Below Place, and his power has been manifesting itself for decades in the form of gamma mutates like the Hulk. In the story, we do get a brief glimpse of what could actually happen if the embodiment of destruction and nothingness were to be set loose on the multiverse. Basically, the One Below All completely takes over the body of the Immortal Hulk, and using this body, he brings an end to the current version of the multiverse, destroying literally everything and everyone over billions of years, including the very essence of life and the multiverse itself. So that when the multiverse is rebirthed into its new version, it is the last time it can truly even happen, with the Hulk / One Below All / Breaker of Worlds consuming everything to grow to a massive planetary scale, wiping out all of existence. But thanks to some time / reality traveling bugs, this does not come to pass. But it could, and that's all you need to know. Number 6. The Anti-Monitor. Billions of years ago, with the creation of the multiverse, when a scientist named Krona, a guardian of the universe on the Green Lantern world of Oa, tried to use a device that would allow him to witness creation itself. A massive explosion occurred which altered the creation of the universe itself, giving birth to the multiverse. Among the countless alternate realities created in this incident was the antimatter universe, the birthplace of the Anti-Monitor, the embodiment of evil, who seeks to conquer all of existence, and his brother the Monitor, who embodies goodness and watches over life. Now, the Anti-Monitor is a being of extraordinary power who feeds on the energies of destroyed universes. These energies further increase his power, allowing him to manipulate reality and even travel through time. He can also unleash his energy as bolts or shockwaves to attack his opponents. He, or it, or however you want to refer to this monster, also has an army of shadow demons from the antimatter universe at his command. However, the extent of the Anti-Monitor's power is dependent on his energy levels, which can be drained in order to weaken him. Still, only another cosmic being like the Monitor or the Spectre is capable of opposing the Anti-Monitor at full power, and even they need help from some of DC's top heroes to put him down for good. Number 5. The Gentry. Have you read Multiversity? It's probably the most confusing way to explain a multiverse ever, but whatever. The main big bads from that book would be the Gentry. They are a group of powerful beings led by the Empty Hand, a mind-bogglingly powerful entity who feeds on dead multiverses and is the right hand of the Great Darkness, who himself is the antithesis to the Presence, who is basically DC's god. They hail from a place outside of the multiverse, said to be the opposite of everything natural, and they are basically all the villainous archetypes taken to their extremes. Intellicatron is the mastermind, Dame Merciless is the femme fatale, Demogorgon is the zombie horde, Lord Broken is the madhouse, and Hell Machine is like the brute. And they are all absolutely mind-bendingly bonkers. They wield a power called the anti-death equation, which is a power that twists and disfigures the fabrics of reality. It's been used to revive deceased individuals and corrode living ones in a process called gentrification. I just really hope that I got that explanation right, because it was kind of difficult to understand. Number 4, the Beyonders. Okay, for starters, these guys are a race of beings from outside the multiverse, just like the last one. How that works, I do not know, but what I do know is that these beings are basically like scientists, conducting experiments on a multiversal scale. They created the singularity of Molecule Man in all universes specifically to destroy said universes. They have been shown to defeat the Celestials, Eternity, Infinity, Lord Chaos, Master Order, the In-Betweener, and even the Living Tribunal throughout all realities at once. And those cosmic entities are some of the most powerful in their respective universes. The existence and the struggle to defeat them literally resulted in the destruction of multiple universes and eventually the multiverse itself, as Dr. Doom, using multiple Molecule Men, defeated the Beyonders and created the mashed up reality of Battleworld. Number 3. Molecule Man. The Incursions! An event in the multiverse starting from a paradoxical event where realities begin colliding together. Earth on Earth throwdowns. In the red corner, an Earth where the inhabitants are bird people. In the blue corner, an Earth thrown together with evil versions of fan favorite characters. Round 1, fight! In the lead up to Marvel's Secret Wars event, where all the characters and parts of different realities were mashed together on one plane called Battleworld, the multiverse was facing a rather large calamity. These incursions were caused by a species of extremely powerful aliens called the Beyonders, who created the Molecule Man, Owen Reese, as a means to destroy the multiverse. When Molecule Man brings an alternate version of himself to an end, it also destroys that universe, resulting in the start of the incursions. It's confusing. Earths come crashing into each other. The Beyonders try to make sure it happens, Molecule Man and Dr. Doom try to stop it from happening, sort of, and all of the other heroes on Earth try their best to figure out what the heck is going on. It's great. I mean, it's awful. No, it's great. It's pretty great.
Number 2, Iron Lad. When Iron Lad created the Young Avengers, he in essence challenged the very multiverse to a duel. Iron Lad at the time was looking for help in protecting himself from his future self, Kang, and had been attempting to reach out to the Avengers when he founded the Young Avengers team. Taking the name Iron Lad, he became kinda like the team's version of Iron Man. However, he would also later learn of the importance of his destiny to become Kang the Conqueror and the other slew of villains and characters that Kang has assumed the identity of and been throughout the years and throughout multiple timelines and all the timey-wimey stuff. Iron Lad learned from Kang that if he didn't fulfill his destiny to become a villain, that the multiverse would in essence crumble and then fall apart. Kang is kind of part of the glue that holds it all together, because he pops up everywhere in the timeline and across multiple universes. The real crazy part is that even the Young Avengers team agreed with Kang. That's how right he was in this instance. Even the heroes were on his side for this one. So despite not wanting to become a villain, Iron Lad had to, or risk the multiverse falling apart.
Number 1. Flash. Ever heard of Flashpoint? Well, you should have, because we talked about it earlier. It's basically the event where the Flash goes back in time using the Speed Force to save his mother from dying. But it results in a dark and twisted reality. Has no one ever heard that you don't mess with time? Apparently not. Once Barry Allen put everything right, well, he didn't put everything right. No, instead he created the New 52, which was basically a whole multiversal reboot for all of DC Comics. Barry Allen's little time-altering adventures created cracks in the multiverse that affected all kinds of universes and also weakened the space between universes. This caught the attention of the least favorite thick and bald evil god Darkseid, who was now using Barry and these multiversal cracks to empower himself even more than he already is. Darkseid gains control of the multiverse, forming chains and barriers to block and separate all the Earths while forcing them to bow before his power. Can someone please tell Flash to just stop?
Number 10. Rip Hunter. Recently, Rip Hunter got a lot more famous thanks to being the lead character on DC's Legends of Tomorrow. In the show, he gathered heroes and villains from across the Arrowverse to take down Vandal Savage. In the comics, he has worked with the team, but a lot of the time he just kind of flies solo. In both the comics and the show, he wants to protect the timeline and works with the Time Masters to do it. He also has a very famous father, who, spoiler alert, we will be talking about next. Number 9. Booster Gold. Yep, Booster Gold is Rip Hunter's father. Michael John Carter was originally from the 25th century, but after stealing some futuristic tech, he traveled back in time to the 20th century to try and become the greatest hero of all time. Did it work? No, but people still like him, and he's become one of the most popular time-traveling heroes. I mean, even his son became a famous time traveler. It must be in the genes. Fun fact, Booster Gold also made a live-action appearance during Smallville's 10th and final season. I remember it was such a big deal at the time because we hadn't seen him in live action before. Come to think of it, that was still the only time we've seen him in live action. I mean, it's crazy. You'd think that he would have popped up in other places by now, but nope, maybe one day. Number 8, Sarah Lance. Sarah Lance, aka the White Canary. Sarah has become such a fan-favorite character over the years, and if you were to go back in time to when Arrow Season 2 was airing and tell them that Sarah would eventually lead a time-traveling team of heroes, every fan would have called you crazy. But hey, it happened. While she doesn't have the power to time travel herself, she is the captain of the Wave Rider, which also is a reference to another time-traveling hero. And if it wasn't for her skills and leadership, the Legends would have never survived countless missions. Here's hoping that she stays captain for years to come.
Number 7, Mr. Fantastic. Hey, if you're gonna destroy every universe in an infinite multiverse, this is the way to do it, I guess. After Galactus met his bitter end, an even worse threat by the name of Abraxas came on the scene. Comic book characters can never just have a day off, apparently. Abraxas corrupts a bunch of different versions of Nova, cuts short the life of multiple more versions of Galactus, and went up against the Earth 616 Fantastic Four because you can apparently go on a terror spree across multiple different universes, taking out cosmic beings, but 4 superpowered humans from Earth will just give you a pause. After Franklin Richards used his powers to revive Galactus, who stole the Ultimate Nullifier, the most powerful weapon in the universe, that is just a weird, flat French horn looking thing, it was dropped while in a fight with Abraxas and landed at the feet of Reed Richards, who picked it up and, seeing no other choice, activated that little sucker. In Fantastic Four number 49, the universe was rewritten with Abraxas having never existed at all, and everything was just all hunky-dory, so it's actually pretty good.
Number 6, Doctor Strange. I mean, yeah, we gotta have Doctor Strange on this list, right? After the events of No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness. Although at least Doctor Strange wasn't explicitly responsible for everything getting weird in the multiverse during MOM. He was more there trying to find a way out to fix it, but also by doing things that, you know, you're kinda not supposed to be doing as a magic user. Like, you know, reanimating the dead and possessing them. But hey, that's Strange for you. He breaks the magic rules when he needs to. And because he's not Sorcerer Supreme right now in the MCU, he's actually kind of more free to do so, which I personally like. I know there's a lot of people that are like, but he has to be Sorcerer Supreme, and I'm like, no, then he can break all the rules and probably won't matter as much. The breaking of the Marvel Cinematic Universe began back in Loki, with the major divergence from the sacred timeline, which created a ton of splinters. This is believed to be the moment that introduced us to the true multiverse in the cinematic reality. But Doctor Strange also cracked it open like an egg in No Way Home when he attempted to use his power to rewrite reality and make everyone forget that Spider-Man was Peter Parker in order to fix Peter's life and also help him and his best friends basically get accepted to college. This worked, but at great cost to Peter, and it also threatened to completely tear apart reality and the multiverse.
Number 5. Batman. The Batman of Earth -22 grew up very similarly to other versions of the character. But of course, the Joker went and messed that all up. The Joker of this universe went on a spree of maniacal de-lifing. All of Batman's other villains, Commissioner Gordon, a hospital, etc, etc. Batman was finally driven to the point of finally removing the Joker from the picture. But in doing so, he was exposed to a special Joker toxin that turned him into a crazed Joker-Batman hybrid. This Batman who laughs went out into the dark multiverse, assembling other messed up versions of Batman and eventually setting them loose on Earth Zero. A whole whack of stuff happens with this Batman, allying with basically a god and becoming a huge comic event with multiple universes' heroes having to team up to take them on. But way later on, this Batman eventually gets his mind implanted into a Batman infused with the power of Dr. Manhattan. In this darkest night form, he subdues Perpetua and fights a golden Wonder Woman across space and time. Yeah, it's what happens when you mash a Batman with a Joker. Who'd have thought? Not me.
Number 4. Superboy Prime. Superboy Prime isn't really a hero. Not anymore. But he did start out as a hero, so it still counts. He just basically became corrupted by losing his entire world and being trapped in like an extra dimensional reality, which started as paradise, but then eventually kind of like began to feel like a prison to him. Which honestly, I mean, fair enough. That would make me a villain too. I mean, it sounds like it would be a lot. And he was also stuck there since like the 80s and the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is a long time. Superboy Prime, as a result of his frustration, decided to take out his anger and pain on reality by, well, punching it. And his punch was actually so powerful that it cracked the multiverse, in essence, fixing all the retcons that we really were like not here for. Prompting all of us comic book fans to joke that sometimes, in order to fix all those pesky retcons, the multiverse just needs one good punch to knock it straight again.
Number 4. Superman. Superman doesn't time travel a lot, but he does do it. One of the most famous times was during Superman the movie, when he went back in time by flying around the world so fast in order to save Lois Lane. Seems like something that Barry Allen would do, but Supes did that and it became famous in the film. But overall, time travel isn't really something that Superman does all the time. And usually, if he does, he's pretty careful, but hey, everyone's reckless sometimes when they're trying to save someone they love, right? I mean, especially when time travel is involved. You're not thinking clearly, you're just trying to save someone, so you don't care what kind of effects they'll have on the timeline. Barry. Flashpoint. Number 2, the Doctor. Man, let me start off by saying how much I love Doctor Who. It's such an amazing show, and I know some people will say that the Doctor is not a superhero, but you'd be lying to yourself. Doctor Who started in 1963 and ended in 1989, but it ended up making a comeback in 2005 and has been going on ever since. The Doctor is a character that will do whatever it takes to save someone in need. The Doctor is a Time Lord and has broken countless time travel rules, created paradoxes, but at the end of the day, always finds a way to make things right. I mean, during the Day of the Doctor event, every incarnation of the Doctor teamed up together to save Gallifrey and stop it from being destroyed, which was a massive change to the whole continuity and timeline. But it worked. Also, if you haven't checked out Doctor Who, do yourself a favor and do it. Also, if you are a fan, who is your favorite Doctor? Let us know down in those comments below.
Number 10. Nezha. The Devil Nezha is a more recent villain, appearing in Batman Superman World's Finest number 2 in June of this year, 2022. Originally, he was a Chinese warlord, first appearing in the 16th century BC. He was killed and then resurrected with a potion by his father, who he then dispatched. Through magic, he ended up becoming a huge threat to the world, and then thanks to a group of ancient heroes, was locked away in a magically sealed prison until the modern era, when he managed to create his own spells to escape. He then began possessing villains and eventually heroes, using them to try and take over the world. He's extremely difficult for even a powerhouse team like Batman and Superman to take on. Superman even used a device to send him to the Phantom Zone, and this guy said, Nope, and broke back into the Earth's dimension. Superman had to take Neza into his tomb, locking it from the inside, and then use that same device to send himself to the Phantom Zone, closing the portal and reappearing outside the tomb using the tear in the world and the Phantom Zone's reality that Neza created to get back to the other heroes. I really hope that wasn't too confusing. I think it was, but just read this story. Batman and Superman fused together into a singular hero. It's super cool and super worth it. Number 9. Ultron. Ultron is an interesting addition to this list, and one I'm not sure how people will feel about. Destroying reality is a big task to undertake, and while Ultron's goal isn't really complete destruction of reality, the sheer unrelenting nature of the villain leads us to believe that it is entirely possible. And we have seen him grow to be powerful enough to do it. I'm kind of specifically talking about the Ultron we see in the Disney Plus What If series. This version of Ultron was successful in loading himself into the body of Vision that he created. Thanks to this, he was successful in launching the world's nuclear arsenal and wiping out most of the life on Earth. But this is where I start to believe he could wipe out reality, because now that he has successfully done what he had to do, Thanos shows up and is like, "What up? Give me that Mind Stone." And Ultron is like, and he just splits Thanos in half and takes the rest of the Infinity Gems, gaining access to an omniscience that drives him, eventually, to destroy all life in his universe and then spread into the multiverse, battling Uatu the Watcher through the Nexus of Reality. If you haven't watched this series, just please do it. Number 8. Mr. Mxyzptlk. Although the 5th dimensional imp known as Mr. Mxyzptlk has reality warping powers that could bring the end of all things, he usually only uses his powers to annoy and have fun with his favorite superhero ever, Superman. He's more of a harmless nuisance than a real supervillain, but we have proof that if he had just one bad day, he could likely bring ruin to the whole DC multiverse. In the famous Emperor Joker story, we get to see what exactly would happen if the Clown Prince of Crime himself got his hands on the reality warping powers of this imp. He tricks the little guy into granting the Joker 99.99% of his power, and with it, Joker turns the whole universe into his playground. It's a wild ride that does actually end in Joker pretty much destroying reality. Luckily, Mr. Mxyzptlk, with the help of Superman, does find a way to return his power and fix everything. But just knowing what he can do to our reality is enough to send shivers down your spine.
Number 7. Green Lantern. Green Lantern isn't really someone that a lot of people think about when they hear the word time travel. But, oddly enough, Green Lanterns can time travel. Now, not a lot of them do it, and it requires a lot of willpower to pull this off. But it has been done by Hal Jordan. Although he ended up losing some of his memory because of it, it's a very tricky process. But it's not an impossible one. I wonder if we will ever see that again. I mean, it's kind of a cool concept for Green Lantern, and someone's bound to use it again one day, right? Like, maybe in a future movie appearance, who knows? Number 6. Hermione Granger. Alright, some of you might say, hey, Hermione is not a superhero, but come on, she's a hero and she has powers, so I'm including her. She's also just awesome, so there's that as well. In Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Hermione time travels by using something called a time turner. At first, she was just using it for smaller things, like helping her take on so many classes. But then she ended up using it to help Harry and Ron save Buckbeak's life and help Sirius Black. Dumbledore helps them actually achieve this. Man, it's crazy what he knows. Like, he's always aware of everything. Like, even after, he knew that they time traveled. It's kind of scary. But that's why we love him. I mean, he's not scared to get a little crazy sometimes. Like, remember that one time when he got really mad at Harry because his name was put in the Goblet of Fire? Good times. And it was exactly like the book. I'm being sarcastic. But I love the book and the movie, so both are great. Number 5, Cable. Nathan Summers, the son of Scott Summers, aka Cyclops, is one of the most famous time travelers in the Marvel Universe. He time travels in both comics and films. He made his live-action debut in Deadpool 2, and fans loved it. He went back in time to kill Russell before he grows up and kills Cable's family. Of course, Deadpool gets it his way like he does for everyone else, and the two of them actually end up becoming friends in the end, which is nice. And then Wade gets a hold of Cable's time-traveling device and wreaks all kinds of havoc on the timeline, and we still don't know what effects it's going to have going forward. I mean, only time will tell. But I mean, since it's Deadpool, it wasn't even just the main X-Men timeline, he also went back in time and killed Ryan Reynolds before he got a chance to film Green Lantern. Like, he went all out, and he killed himself in X-Men Origins Wolverine. I mean, there's a lot happened.
Number 3, Doctor Doom. Speaking of Doctor Doom, he literally found a way to defeat the Beyonders, so I think adding him to this list just kinda makes sense. While he himself is sorta just a dude, it's what he does with his technology, magic, and massive evil brain that make him completely capable of destroying reality. We already talked about how he managed to create Battleworld, but in that world he became the supreme god king, able to do seriously impressive feats like ripping out Thanos' spine and turning him to dust, or creating a police force of multiple Thors, or recreating and improving magical artifacts like the Eye of Agamotto or Mjolnir. That was just one aspect of him though. But if we want an idea of just how unrelenting Doom can be, let's talk about the Marquis of Death. The Marquis was a supremely powerful villain who actually took Doom as his apprentice, and then left the Earth and took on a new apprentice. When he returned to Earth, the Marquis was disappointed by Doom's many failings at the hands of the Fantastic Four, and so he turned Doom's heart to stone, his blood to acid, and then, with his apprentice, sent Doom back millions of years in time where he was eaten by a megalodon. Now it turns out that Doom survived all of that, then spent millions of years studying black magic and the dark arts, changing every molecule of his own body and becoming that same apprentice that just helped the Marquis of Death. He then revealed himself, told the Marquis to shut the hell up, and took him off the playing field in a swift move. Number 2, the Darkest Knight. Okay, so by this point, most of you nerds out there know who the Batman Who Laughs is. A Batman who has been infected by the Joker toxin and gathered other Dark Universe versions of Batman, using them to become a scourge on the multiverse. He has plans on top of plans, with backup plans for those plans, and further backup plans for his backup plans. When the Batman Who Laughs fought against the Justice League, he was beheaded by none other than Wonder Woman using a chainsaw, which is an awesome sentence to say out loud. But this guy kind of foresaw this. So he found a reality where Bruce Wayne discovered the comedian's button from the Watchmen series and created an intrinsic field generator. The evil Batman then locked this Batman in that machine and basically turned this Bruce Wayne into Dr. Manhattan. He then lobotomized this Bruce Wayne and then kept him locked far away, hidden from everyone except his knights. So now that he was beheaded, his knights took his brain and transplanted it inside the Manhattan Bruce Wayne, meaning that the Batman Who Laughs got the powers of Dr. Manhattan, who is basically a multiversal level god. He became the Darkest Knight, killing Perpetua and fighting a golden armored god Wonder Woman across time and space. It's mind-boggling.